Welcome to Lightning Strikes podcast, where we typically shine a spotlight on the world's top boxing athletes. Today, we're making an exception to feature a special guest who's not a boxer, but embodies the same warrior spirit and determination that we admire in the boxing world. My cousin Cody Taylor is an ultra-runner who's conquered the trails and is now taking on new challenges as the co-owner of New Normal, a business focused on fitness and nutrition. Cody and his wife Franny have both made significant career changes to pursue their passion. Let's dive into their story and explore what we can learn from their experiences. Cody, thanks for joining us today, brother.
Thank you, man.
All right, man. Honor having you here, brother.
Yeah, dude.
So let's start from the beginning. Your original path was in the music industry.
Yes, sir.
So growing up, what sparked your interest in music?
Well, I started playing drums like when I was 12, and honestly, I did it for the wrong reasons back in the day. I did it for the ladies, and I was trying to just do it because, I just wanted to be the coolest kid in school. But then I met my wife pretty soon after. I was 16, and then I've been with her ever since. And it was one of those things where it's just like I kind of stuck with it for so long, and then I realized I'm like, hey, I'm half decent at this, And then as I got older, I realized I always wanted to try to inspire the masses, and I thought music was it for me, and I pushed and I pushed and I pushed, and I learned a lot about myself. I got to tour all of North America and the Caribbeans, and we had a ton of fun doing it. I got great stories and great memories. But yeah, it was music was a huge part of my life until up to the pandemic.
Yeah, so in saying that, just staying on your music for a moment, like you said, you spent your 20s touring across the U.S. and Canada, mostly as a drummer for the metal band 6 Sense. Keychain, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And so in that, because like boxing, I understand that music can be a very cutthroat industry. So what were some of the more significant challenges you had to face during your music career, and how did you overcome them?
Whenever I was in the band, I was in my early to mid 20s, and the amount of discipline I had to have to be in that band, like I had to say no to parties, I had to say no to friends and family, and every weekend I was driving out to Montreal, sleeping on couches just to rehearse. Weekdays too, like I'd work a full day, go to Montreal, rehearse. I did that for probably about a year and a half, and then I had the opportunity to tour all over the States and play in front of thousands of people. So, it's definitely a grind. But then I remember one time I'm driving and I looked down and I'm looking at a pair of drumsticks and had my name written on the drumsticks, and I'm like, this is why I'm doing it. I had the endorsements, I had the symbol endorsement, I was doing it, and it's like I said, man, I learned so much about myself, and I just learned how to be disciplined too, in the process.
Mm-hmm. Now you toured. Did you perform in all 50 states?
Not all 50, but pretty close to. We were coast to coast 3 times, and we the first time we toured the States, coast to coast, we were sleeping out of the van, living like dirtbags. And then by the time we finished the coast to coast, we made a bunch of friends and fans along the way. So then the second tour, all of a sudden we had places to stay at every state, and then the third time around is just we were, we had family all over the States, and I still have family out there for sure.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, somewhere along that time frame, you also went to school, you obtained a trade, and you established yourself as an entrepreneur, running a successful heating and cooling business.
Yeah.
Then, like you mentioned earlier, in comes the pandemic.
Yeah.
You gradually put your music career on hold.
Yeah.
You got out of HVAC to become a personal trainer and ultra runner. It's been an interesting career path. So what was that transition like?
Yeah, I've been in the trade since I was 16. And honestly, I tell the kids this all the time, don't underestimate the trades, because that skill will never leave you. Going forward, I could fix the plumbing in my house. I could fix things that, most people have to pay trades guys for and pay a lot of money for. So learning how to use tools, learning how to be handy, it's absolutely crucial in life. And I don't regret doing it. I started my business when I was 27. I just turned 27. And I was in the HVAC business on my own for 5 years, did all my own jobs. I'm learning how to do taxes, I'm setting out $10,000, $15,000 bills. I'm a kid, so you learn how to grow up quick. You do grow up quick. And honestly, like I said, it's that's kind of where I just kind of became a man. Honestly, it was just running a business. Yeah. What was the question? Sorry.
just from there, the transition to becoming an ultra runner and personal trainer.
Yeah. So then for the transition was basically like, so I started right before the pandemic and like my HVAC business, and like I was pretty busy for those 5 years. But during the pandemic, I obviously the music was stripped away from me, and the gyms were stripped away from me. So I started running. And, you know, I've always been kind of a runner, but then I let it go for a while. But I remember in 2020, I went from like, I couldn't even run 5K to like 2 months later, I ran to Morrisburg, which was like 40K. And, you know, it's just like I had it in me. I had that grit and I had that determination. And I found that love for running because of like when I went out there and put long hours in on the roads, it's like I came back a different person, like a better person. So I started documenting my whole journey when I was started running, and I saw the impact I had on people. And you know, the crazy thing is, like when I was doing the music, I was trying to create this impact on people, but I never would have thought it would have been my running and my fitness journey that would have this kind of impact, you know. So I posted, I remember, every day for about a year while running my HVAC company. And then January 1st of 2024, I decided to pack up the tools and I got my certificate to be a personal trainer. And I did in person all last year. And then started this year. My wife has been a nutrition coach online, and it just kind of like the stars aligned. And I realized, like, you know, if we want to have that freedom, if we want to have that flexibility and like, you know, build a business together, this is kind of the direction I have to do, is do the online coaching and team up with my wife and help people live the new normal.
So with that said, in the beginning, how did your family and friends support the transition? Did you have full support? Were there any doubts and concerns from someone in your circle?
You know, it's a great question. Family and friends, if they love you a lot, they want to see what's best for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like everything I've done in life. I remember even whenever I was playing drums and pulling out line of credit and like, you know, spending money that I don't have. You know, I might annoyed some people that I love, but but you know, it's like they always supported me, and I think the older I get and the things that I do, like I think my family and friends realize that I'm not messing around, and they know that I'm gonna get the job done. So they're starting to trust me. It took a long time to build that trust, but you know, it's hey man, that's just the way it is. Like, you know, and that's why, like, I talk about my wife all the time. She's the greatest person in the world, but she was like the only person whenever I was doing the music where she was just like, man, like people go to university and like have $30,000-$40,000 loans, like credit lines, you know, to go to school. Like, you know, what I learned on the road being a musician, like that I learned so much from that. I learned how to market myself. I learned how to be an entrepreneur. So it's like, to me, that $5,000 I didn't have back in the day was worth every penny. You know what I mean? So
now, ultra running. Now, as I understand it, in 2022 was when you really started. You literally hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You quickly progressed to ultra marathons. You completed your first 80K race at the Quebec Mega Trail.
Yeah.
And then you set a new record on the Bruce Trail.
Yes, sir.
So take us through that experience. What was going through your mind during the run, and how did you prepare for it?
Yeah, the Bruce Trail, like it was funny. So I got into this ultra runs, like you're saying, and then I reached out to the top dog, the guy that was doing it, and the guy that had the most experience, and I didn't know him at the time, but his name was Ray Zahab. Ray Zahab is a legend in the ultra community, and like my music career, I thought something I took away from that too is, what's the worst that's going to happen when you reach out to these people? They're going to say no.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I reached out to this guy, and he saw that I had this fire inside of me, and like he had a bunch of applications to go run the Atacama Desert with him, and he gave me an invite. So I pulled the trigger on this whole expedition we did in the Atacama Desert in Chile, and I remember I'm running up this sand dune. It's the biggest sand dune in the Atacama Desert, and he's like, Cody, he's like, if I was to coach you, He's like, I'd step away from the races. He's like, you're not winning them. You're not going to move the needle doing these races. He's like, you should take a look at these unsupported adventures. And then he brought up like 5 trails, and the Bruce Trail was the first one. And he said it was 900 kilometers. And that was day 2 in the expedition in the Atacama Desert. And I was like, that literally stuck with me for the whole expedition. And I got home, talked to my wife, and I'm like, I'm going to run this Bruce Trail. And I remember I talked to my coach, Ray, like a few days after that Atacama adventure, and he was like, Cody, you have no experience doing this stuff, like absolutely no experience. He's like, you need a couple of years. I was like, yeah, but you don't know me. So I basically just picked up all of the gear, the tent, the sleeping bag, all the ultralight gear, stuff I didn't have. I never did this stuff before in my life, and I had like basically 5 weekends to kind of get prepared and go approach the Bruce Trail, the longest and oldest marked trail in Canada.
Wow, incredible. Was there any moments during that whole race, that journey, where like there must have been some very isolated, lonely, dark moments, literally and figuratively, where
absolutely.
Did you think you were going to finish?
I always knew I was going to finish. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you know, I envisioned me at the finish line even before starting. Mm-hmm. And I believe a lot in manifesting. Like, I feel like a lot of things I have accomplished in my life, I visioned it. Like, I visioned it over and over and over and over. So I knew I was going to get it done. But yeah, like, for what unsupported means, for those that don't know, it's like you have to carry all your own nutrition. You can't get any help on the trail. You have to filter out water at natural sources. So like there's been records done for supported, but there was only like one guy that actually did it unsupported because it's so hard. The trail's been existing since 1962, and only one person has ever done it unsupported. So I only had one record to break because it's that hardcore. So yeah, I started that day. I remember that first morning. I started 3:30 in the morning, and I had 52 pounds, basically mostly of nutrition and a bit of gear. And every day I'd move between 16 and 18 hours. I'd have to find a spot on the trail to set up my tent, camp out, and I'd wake up at 3 in the morning the next day, start by 3:30, and I'd go. I wouldn't stop all day except for filtering water and just arrow my feet. And then I would push right till about 9:30, 10 o'clock every night.
Wow. Now, in saying that, you know, you may not be a boxer, but you've demonstrated a warrior spirit in your pursuits. So how do you think the mindset and discipline required for ultrarunning translates to other areas of life?
Just like never giving up, you know what I mean? I feel like it's always, in every journey you're going to take in life, it's always one foot in front of the other. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when I was on the Bruce Trail, it's like, there was hard moments, man, for sure. There's a lot of great moments. Like, I say this all the time, but like I felt human out there. Like I cried, you know, I had panic attacks. I laughed out loud. Like I had these emotions that I tapped into. And, you know, whenever it was getting hard, like very hard, it's like, and I was moving super slow, I didn't stop moving. Mm-hmm. And I ended up getting that record, you know what I mean? Because I didn't stop moving. So it's like the biggest takeaway from that whole experience is like, yeah, just keep going. Whatever your mission is, whatever you want to get done in life, it's just like, just keep going. And that's it, man.
Now, being someone who's pushed their body to extreme limits, what insights can you share on recovery, injury prevention, and mental toughness that might be applicable to other athletes, particularly boxers?
Sorry, like what?
Just injury prevention, recovery, and mental toughness. You know, those all assets you've needed and required.
Yeah,
in your sport.
Absolutely. It's all nutrition. A lot of strength training for me, especially. You know, the older I get, the more I realize, like, you know, me stacking up more miles is not going to make me a better runner. So actually, you know, people think I'm running all the time. It's like, man, I'm actually I might, like, my training block right now going into this big adventure is like I do 2 10-kilometer runs, strict nose breathing, and then I'll do like a big weekend in the Adirondacks where I might do 2 back-to-back days, but then the rest of the week I'm just strength training. And then nutrition, man, just eating. You know, that's what my wife and we talk about it all the time, but like we coach our clients, but it's like, it's not rocket science. It's like, you just have to eat real food. You know, you get that protein in you, you know, eat real food, stay away from all that the garbage stuff there, all the processed foods. And yeah, like, I mean, if I could do it, you know, if you're a professional boxer yourself, it's like, I'm sure you didn't overcomplicate it either. You know, it's like,
now you can be doing all the right stuff on paper.
Yeah.
But mental toughness. That's something that I don't believe I don't know if it can be developed. I'm not sure how it can be taught, but it can be developed. Was it for some people that just have it, inherently? So where do you think the mental toughness comes from? Was it something that got developed and carved over time, or did you always have that in you?
You know, it's funny being in this ring right now. I think this gym, because this is where I think I built my foundation for my endurance. But I remember I was 16 years old, and like I so badly wanted to be like you. I always looked up to you. You know, you're a very good boxer, professional boxer. And I trained really hard to be a boxer too. And I remember I got in the ring and I would get my ass kicked every day. And but I still kept showing up. You know what I mean? I was 16 years old, and like I was damn near, like I was really good hitting the bag and doing mitts. But then I would get in the ring and I'd treat it like a fist fight. And like even though I was in really good shape, I couldn't last any longer than a couple of rounds. But I kept showing up over and over and over. So it's like, you know, I think to build that mental strength, it's like I said, first you have to have a vision. You have to have that like end goal. And like if you really want that thing, it's like I feel like nothing's gonna get in your way. And if you work super hard to get towards that goal, that's where the mental strength, mental toughness is gonna come in. And that's how you build on that.
Now I'd like to bring in the other half of New Normal, Franny. Come and join us. Franny, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you.
So you left a successful career as a dental hygienist to become a full-time nutritionist and co-owner of New Normal. So what was that transition like, and how do you think your background in healthcare influenced your approach to nutrition?
Just, you know, being around people all the time and seeing how much your nutrition can impact like your mental health, but also your physical health, and how they're so intertwined. Like, I was just fascinated by it, and in all my free time, I was studying it just for fun, like for myself to learn, to feel better. And then I kind of had this goal of being like, okay, I just want to help one other person feel better, so just started playing around with it on the side, and then just didn't stop. And we had people in our lives that were like encouraging us to keep growing it, and then it slowly kind of morphed into a business. But yeah, it just kind of started like that, a little intrigue around nutrition and how it can impact your whole life, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Now, starting a new business can be challenging. This is a group question. Okay? It can be challenging starting a new business, especially the first year. It's always a risk, usually a loss for many, and especially when both partners, like you guys, are making significant career changes. So, how do you guys handle decision making and disagreements? With all that said,
She's the boss.
No, you definitely find ways of working together. Like, and if you just keep communicating, like we've learned along the way where each of our strengths are, you know what I mean? And then so we kind of like lean into those categories. But definitely just you just keep showing up. Like you just keep showing up, and you figure it out along the way. Like you make a ton of mistakes, but if you just keep showing up, then you figure out ways around them. Yeah.
Well, that applies to everything, like you were saying, because like, you know, as you guys know, like I'm a father of 4, and I found of all little like parenting tips and tricks and this and that, or strategies you can read and find online, because it's a rabbit hole. The biggest thing I'm learning in time, and I'm just in my early novice stages still as a parent, is just keep showing up. Just keep showing up, and the answers will slowly reveal themselves if you just keep going.
Totally.
You know?
I used to freak out thinking I was supposed to like know how to do everything, but then whenever you throw yourself into like the unknown, you're like, wait, you don't know something until you learn it. So it's okay to not know.
And Franny says it all the time, but it's everyone's first time.
Yeah.
It's everyone's first time doing anything. You know,
Yeah,
like being
like,
a parent, at life, running a business. So if you just approach it like that, where it's just like, you know, like again, one step forward, it's just like, yeah, man, you'll get it done.
How do you guys balance your business partnership with your marriage, and what are some of the benefits and challenges of working together?
I don't know, it's just been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of your life and then the business kind of bleeds together, especially because most of the things that we did for fun.
Yeah, I'll tell you something, man. It's just like, you know, whenever we'd see each other, whenever we were both working in separate trades, we would get home, it's just like we talk about our work, but it's just like we couldn't really
Relate.
share interests and relate. So for me, I found ever since we started like doing something and building this business together, our relationships got stronger. You know what I mean? Like now it's just like, yeah, we get home, we're stoked to talk about business. We're stoked to talk about like what our next adventure is, or, you know, like what our vision board's going to be, look like, you know, going forward. Like I'm having a ton of fun, and I know she is too. And I know I can feel it, our chemistry. There's so much energy in our little home on Duncan Street. It's incredible, man. So I'm very grateful.
Franny, how do you think your nutrition expertise has complemented Cody's fitness background? And what kind of results have you guys seen with your clients?
Oh man, well, everybody kind of has different little unique goals, but it's just been fun, I think, giving people the guidance to know that like they can feel better if they want to, and to just keep showing up for themselves. Like we kind of really take the approach of, instead of just telling people what to do, we're kind of just like that guiding GPS of teaching them how to figure it out for themselves, so that they can keep learning along the way, you know. But yeah, it's been fun.
Cody, what does the term new normal mean to you, and how do you embody that philosophy in your life?
Yeah, so it's a great question, man. Like, you know, it actually all started with me running, and like I remember whenever I signed up for my first marathon, I'm like, all of a sudden I'm towing the line with some of the top athletes, and I'm like, that became my new normal. And then after I ran a marathon, I'm like, okay, well, what's next? And then I signed up for that 80K, and I'm standing on the line, towing the line with all these great athletes again. That became my new normal. Then I fast forward to my first 100-mile race, and I'm like, wow, I'm like the 0.1% of the world. You know what I mean? And like now I'm like standing on the line with these like athletes that are like, you know, it's next level stuff. That became my new normal. So it's just like I remember everything I was doing. I'm just stacking up these wins, and I'm like looking back where I was like a year ago. I'm like, whoa. You know what I mean? So it's just like the whole concept of that, like that's kind of where new normal was kind of like born. And then, you know, like I said, Franny's been like, she started with accountability coaching. Like she was creating like, basically it was like on the same, like it was the same thing as new normal. But you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden we just kind of collaborated, and we came up with this term, and yeah, it's just like, it just worked.
Yeah.
You know? So
one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, 100%.
Eyes always forward, Martin.
For sure, man.
Don't look back till the job's done.
100%.
What are your goals for new normal, and how do you guys see the business evolving in the next year or two?
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you know, it's funny because it kind of started off with just being like a clothing company, and then we got into online coaching, and I think I see the online coaching kind of taking off for us. I feel like that's where we're gonna make our, you know, where we're gonna make our make a living from. And then the clothing line is just like trying to build community, and then we also do like public speaking, so the education. We're just trying to focus on those three things right now. And yeah, like honestly, we're just trying to make sure we master that before. I'm me personally, I don't really look ahead 5-10 years from now. I'm always kind of like, hey, like with that next goal, you know what I mean? If I feel like right now I got this trail coming up, and it's like I want to make sure that like that's what I'm looking towards, is like I want to make sure I get that done. I'm not looking ahead of that, you know what I mean? So that's how I usually approach things.
So with that said, are there any new ultra running challenges or records that you're looking to take on?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my goal right now, because I'm young, kind of in my prime with this stuff, so it's like I want to make sure I do one big project a year. So I got this trail that has never been done unsupported. So I just got to go out there and set the record. And yeah, I'm going to do it beginning of August. I'm actually leaving next week just to scope out the trail. Okay. And yeah, it's going to be in Canada. And it's going to be super pound for pound harder than the Bruce Trail. Not as long as the Bruce Trail, but it's going to be very difficult because the navigation is going to be so tough.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to hearing more about that.
Absolutely.
Releasing the details.
Yeah.
What are some of the most significant lessons you've learned from working with Franny, and how has she helped you grow as a business owner and individual?
Well, she just it's like she kind of keeps my ego in check.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, they do that.
No, she definitely keeps me in line. I like, honestly, everything I talk about or post, I'm always kind of looking for her and looking for her, make sure she's okay with everything. But she just helps me grow as a person. Like, honestly, everything I've done in my life, it's like I couldn't have done it without her. Even the Bruce Trail. Like, I tell this to people all the time, but like, I know I did it unsupported, but like, if I didn't have that emotional support, like what she gave me, I don't know if I could have got it done. I remember in day 7, I actually had one panic attack and it was bad, and I was like, I was on the trail and I'm like, my heart was racing and I'm like, my vision started closing, and I called Franny, and I remember I was just like, start talking to her, and I'm like just kind of singing, and she's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "No, not really. I'm kind of having a bit of a panic attack." She literally got me in check. She got my shit. I got my shit together because just talking to her, and I remember I ended up having one of the best days that whole expedition because just hearing her voice. And like I said, man, everything I've done, like even with my music and stuff, she always supported me. So I always felt like I was just able to just go for it, And if I didn't have that support, I don't know, man. It's like it would be definitely a little bit tougher because you're trying to look for that support, but you don't know where to find it. You know what I mean? So,
Franny, same question to you. How has Cody helped you grow as a business owner and individual, and what have you learned from working with him?
I'd say my favorite thing is just his like drive and enthusiasm and like excitement for things and like going all in with everything he does. Like, I'm more of a overanalyzer and things like that, so sometimes you get stuck in an analysis paralysis, and he's just like jump in head first, like let's go. So that's been super fun because it pushes me outside of like my comfort zone, and you get to experience so much more whenever you do take those little leaps. So that's been fun. That's what I like. His drive is really fun to be around. Makes you feel alive.
Absolutely. Looking back on your experiences, guys, what advice would you give to others who are considering making a significant change in their lives?
Honestly, like, I just go for it, man. You live one life. I feel like the way I live my life is because I feel like I lost a lot of close people in my life at a young age, including your mom. Lost my best friend, and like those moments were a real eye-opener for me to just be like, life is short, so you just gotta go for it, man. Like, whatever you want to do in life, you just have to give it your best effort and just go for it.
Franny?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the biggest thing that helped me anyways is knowing that it's okay to not know how to do something. That's something that used to stop me a lot, and then now I just remind myself, it's like, you don't know until you know. So it's like, don't let that be a barrier. Like, if you have something you want but you're not sure how to get there, it's like you just focus on the next step, ask questions, learn that next thing, and then just keep going step by step. But like, if you're doing something new and exciting, it's like you're not going to know how to do everything until you learn it. So it's like, don't let that be something that stops you.
Wonderful message, guys. I love it. Cody, good luck on your next
Appreciate it, man.
Next challenge.
Love you,
Franny,
Thanks for having me.
awesome. Love you guys. Take care.